when you get into really the hospital experience and the traumatic experience, we're used to, hey, go to the ER, wait in these chairs. The triage nurses are going to come up to you. They're going to get you into a room. Then the specialists are going to the ER doctors are going to see you. Then the specialist is going to come evaluate you. Very organized, can be chaotic in certain places, right? But like, what was it like there?
Yeah, so when we first got there, Rafah hadn't been invaded yet. So there was like the pending Rafah invasion. I don't know if you remember about that, like last year. And when we were going, everyone was saying Rafah's going to be invaded while you're there. We were like, take luggage, it'll be fine. And and Samir said, we were sleeping in different locations. Samir was sleeping in the hospital, and I was sleeping in a quote unquote safe house in Rafah. And
How
that's
far
what
away?
maybe like a 15-20 minute drive.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Rafah got invaded, and we were in a quote unquote safe house that was designated by the Israeli forces to be supposed to be like safe in that home. So because we were coordinated with the WHO, and that night Rafah got the invasion started, and
What date? What was the date?
I think it was like May.
Right around your birthday.
Yeah, it was like May 14 or something like that, mid-May.
It's around
Yeah.
11th or
Wait, you're back in May?
No, we never went in October. We went in May.
You went in May? Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
April to May.
Yeah,
Yeah.
April to May.
Actually
And
flew out on my birthday.
Yeah.
My 40th birthday.
And we were supposed to
that was my
fly
40th
back.
birthday gift.
Yeah, for me.
We were supposed to fly back on Ahlia's birthday.
Yeah.
But we had to
Thursday.
remain there because of the invasion.
So I was texting my dad that night and my mom. I said, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna die tonight. Like the bombs were so close. I was
You were scared.
I was beyond scared. I was telling Samir, I was like, and I wasn't able to text him because he didn't have service, but told him like it's over. And like I knew we were not safe. We all knew we were not safe. We're like, this is not a safe house. We need to get out immediately.
So you're hearing bombs?
Yeah, and
You're
so
hearing
that was the thing.
gunshots?
Yeah, that was the thing that I realized. Everyone said nowhere is safe in Gaza, and in this designated safe house, I was not safe, and I was under
How
the
many people were with
WHO.
you?
All the girls were there from the trip. And so there were like 3 or 4 other girls, and then the head of our mission, who was a male, and a couple other surgeons. So there were like 7 of us, and we were like, we need to get out now. We need to get out of Rafah. And we were coordinating all our movements with the Israeli forces, and we weren't allowed to move the house until they gave us the okay, and they weren't responding to us. And
The Israeli forces weren't responding to you.
No. And so they were busy invading Rafah. And so we were so stressed, and we were like, this is over. And that's when I really felt like, okay, nowhere is safe. And from that moment over afterwards, and then we moved to the hospital the next day because we were like, we're not safe here. All the mass casualties that were coming in, we felt, like you said, people's homes being lost, and now they're being displaced, and we were seeing trauma to subacute trauma before the invasion of Rafah, and then moving forward we were just seeing mass casualties, and everybody that we tried to save after that basically died. Like I had a 4-year-old who came in with 80% burns, and his whole family was dead, except his sister, 12-year-old. They both came in together, and I tried so hard just to like give him fluids, to keep him warm. I had very little resources, and he died in my arms. I then took the 12-year-old to the OR afterwards for some shrapnel in her brain, and I couldn't wake her up. I was stressing so much because I was like, this is the last person in this family line. Like, I need to wake her up. And it just, like, I broke down in that moment. I had a panic attack. I'd never had one in my entire life. And I was like, this is a panic attack. And I realized these healthcare workers, the Gazans themselves, who've been stepped up for the past year, now 2 years, and this is their own people. Like, I can't imagine the level of anxiety and stress that they're feeling. And they're under target as well. And they're not getting paid because the entire ministry is destroyed. So they're doing it for free. They're under target. It's like, it's just, I felt a small moment of what they felt, that pressure, and I broke. But she woke up and she was fine. But
It's fine.
yeah, I hope she's still fine. We saw mass casualties after that. And that was, I mean, Samir will tell you about a couple cases he took where there were like 5 different surgeons working on them, on a patient all night.
The environment is such that when you hear that there's a mass casualty coming into the hospital, like I worked at a trauma center. So we'd see like maybe 1 or 2 like come in at a time, and then you divert the other ones. Like if there's like a mass casualty in like South Central, they'll go to like, Harbor UCLA, and some will go to another, county site. Here they all just come there. So it's not uncommon to see, 8 or 9 people just get dumped into the ED, and then another ambulance shortly after with another 8 or 9 people, and then another one shortly after with so
They had ambulances?
they had ambulances. I don't know if I would call them
Cars that
ambulances.
would bring people.
Yeah, like vehicles that are, so they're clearly labeled ambulance, but a lot of them are actually even targeted as well.
Jeez.
So that like and we have images of ambulances like that have been, clearly targeted, struck by, you see like bullets and even like, missiles. And it's clearly labeled like these are, paramedics coming in. Sometimes like ED physicians will go out, see if they can help somebody. And they have to, it's not only when there's like massive bombing, but also, if you look at the area, if one site has been bombed and you have a structure that has been compromised, a building that's been compromised, and then you bomb within like a kilometer of that at a different location, that structure can collapse and people can be trapped under there for a long time. And all the resources are going to the site of the bombing and nobody's going to that structure that collapsed. And those people are like literally stuck there for an extended period of time. And then you don't know how long. Some people are stuck for, days, no food, no water, just whatever, shouting for help, or they're slowly dying under the rubble. And that's what is really, that's the reality of the situation there. But in the ED, for me at least, when I was walking down to the ED, or, it's such a contrast of emotions. You're walking through these tents. There are these kids running around giving you high fives as you're rushing to an ED, and then, you're going to get, immersed with this like massive trauma situation. The kids are like following you, and then you have to kind of push them away, and then you see like, a decapitated individual that has like, or you see like a lifeless individual that's had like multiple gunshot wounds to their like
Chest,
someone who's been
right.
like, or like someone whose limb is missing, or like, a tourniquet on an arm that's gone, like that's missing. And it's just like such a weird contrast going from like high fives and like smiles of like these kids to like going into a trauma bay where there's like, 4 beds and like 8 people, and the other 4 people are on the floor. You're resuscitating people on the floor. You're, trying to put in an IV, trying to put like get fluids. And I haven't really been in a war zone prior to this experience, so to make the decision to triage who's going to survive and who's not was probably one of the hardest things to do. Like I'm picking this is the person that I think has the greatest likelihood of survival, which means that the other people are not going to get treated. And that's a situation that is, that weighs on you. You're like, like those people are going to die, and I'm going to give my best shot to this one individual. And as an anesthesiologist, as a single physician, you got to line them up, intubate them, get them to the OR, scan them, get to the OR in whatever way you can. And you know that there's going to be other individuals that aren't going to make it.
Yeah, because I mean, triage, you guys, normally means that everybody's going to be seen and everybody's going to be cared for. And yeah, we kind of prioritize the people that are having life-ending or life-threatening injuries first, right, as you would in the hospital. But we also know those other people are going to be seen and treated. Samir and Ali are in an area of the world where they had to actually decide who was going to get the resources that they had at that particular time, and who was going to not only get those resources, but get their effort and energy, because there were so many other people.
Yeah.
I mean, what did that feel like? Did you ever think that, oh crap, I chose the wrong person?
Yeah, I mean, I think Samir and I talked about that all the time. We were like, I I feel like I'm playing God. Like, and we actually laid heavily on the local doctor's expertise because they had become so good at this.
Yeah.
They would be like, no, 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 let's work on this one. They really, they picked up on these things and they become very good at it.